Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So, if your Frigidaire oven's not heating up when it should, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show
The
you
oven igniter
exactly
and
how
see
to
what
fix it.
happens. Or in the
Whether
case
you've
of the
got a
stove,
gas
what
model
doesn't
or
happen.
electric,
When
these
you
are the
turn
most
the oven
common
on,
problems
you
I
should
see
get a
every week.
bright
And the good
red
news
or
is
orange
most of
glow.
them you can handle yourself in about 30 to 60 minutes with basic tools like a screwdriver and multimeter. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. All right, so let's dive into this step by step. I'm going to walk you through the 7 most common causes I see when these Frigidaire ovens won't heat, starting with the absolute most likely culprits and working our way down. Trust me on this one. I've been doing this for years, and these problems follow a pretty predictable pattern. We'll cover everything from gas igniters to electric elements to control board issues. So, the number one problem I see, and I'm talking like 60% of my gas oven calls, is a weak igniter. Here's what happens. That igniter has to pull enough current to open up the gas safety valve, but over time it gets weaker and weaker. You'll know this is your problem when you turn the oven to bake and that igniter glows bright orange but just sits there for 90 seconds or more without lighting the gas. A healthy igniter should light the gas within 30 to 90 seconds of glowing. I had this customer last month who said her oven would glow like a Christmas light but never actually heat up. Classic weak igniter. Here's the fix. Shut off your gas and unplug the oven first, then remove that bottom panel and burner baffle to access the igniter. You're looking at about 30 to 130 for the part, and here's a pro tip. Don't touch the element itself with your bare hands because oils from your skin will cause it to fail early. For electric ovens, the bake element is your most likely culprit. These things go through constant heating and cooling cycles, and eventually that metal just
Take the
gives up.
tools
It'll
out
crack,
and
blister,
slowly
or completely
pull the
burn
bake
through.
element
You
from the
can
rear
usually
panel.
spot this one
Keep
visually.
in
Look
mind
for
that
any
there is a
cracks,
wire
blisters,
attached
or
to each
warping on
end of
that
the
bottom
element.
heating element. If it looks fine, grab a multimeter and test for continuity. A good element should read between 19 and 29 ohms. The fix is pretty straightforward. First, turn off the circuit breaker and unplug the oven. Never skip this safety step. Then remove those mounting screws, pull the element forward, and disconnect the 2 wires. Pro tip, use a clamp or put a kink in those wires so they don't slip back into the wall on you. Now, here's where it gets tricky control board problems. The board is basically the brain of your oven, and when it fails to send voltage to the heating components, you're dead in the water. Usually it's a blown relay. Think of it like a switch that's stuck open. You'll know it's the board when your broiler works, but bake doesn't, or vice versa. That tells me the specific relay controlling that function has failed. Sometimes you can see
Dial 2
burn marks on
volts
the back of the
AC.
circuit board. You're
Now
looking at
contact the
140 to
black and red meter
235 for a
leads
whole
to
new
the board's
board.
input terminals
Though
or
if you're
connector.
handy with electronics, you can sometimes just replace the relay for about 15 bucks. There's also companies like Circuit Board Medics that can repair these things. This one's sneaky because your oven light and clock might still work, making you think everything's fine. But electric ovens need the full 240 volts to operate. If you're only getting 120 volts because one leg of that double pole breaker tripped, you won't have enough power to heat. You can test this with a multimeter at the outlet. Check your breaker box and flip that breaker fully off, then back on. Don't just nudge it. While you're at it, check the terminal block at the back of the oven for any melted wires or loose connections. If you find burnt terminals, you'll need a 3/8 socket to replace that block. The temperature sensor is that metal probe you'll see sticking out in the upper corner of your oven cavity. When this thing fails, the control board thinks the oven's already at temperature, or you might get an F30 error code. Here's how to test it. At room temperature, most sensors should read between 1050 and 1100 ohms, though some newer models read 540. If your readings are way off, that sensor's done for. The fix is simple. Remove the screw holding it in place, pull it out from the back wall, unplug the harness, and install the new one. The thermal fuse is a safety device that's designed to blow if your oven overheats. Think of it as a circuit breaker for temperature. This is super common after people run that high heat self clean cycle. You'll find this little guy on the rear panel near the elements. Test it with a multimeter for continuity. If it doesn't beep or show 0 to 1 ohm, it's blown. Some models have a resettable switch instead of a fuse. Just push that red button to restore power. Parts are pretty cheap, usually under 20 bucks. Sometimes your oven heats just fine, but the temperature is consistently off by 10 to 35 degrees. Before you start replacing parts, try this. Stick a metal thermometer right in the center of the oven and let it cycle for 30 minutes. If it's consistently off, you probably just need to calibrate. Hold the bake button for 5 to 10 seconds until you see a zero appear on the display, then use the arrow buttons to adjust the offset up or down. Most ovens let you adjust up to 35 degrees either direction. For gas igniters, you're looking at anywhere from 30 to 130, depending on whether you go OEM or aftermarket. You can find these at appliance parts dealers or order them online. This is definitely a DIY repair if you're comfortable working around gas. Just remember to shut off that gas supply first. The igniter's job is to light the burner, and when it can't pull that 3.2 amps or more, the safety valve won't open. Bake elements typically run about $25 to $60, and they're pretty easy to swap out yourself. These heat from the bottom of the oven, and when they fail, you'll usually see visible damage like blisters or breaks. Sometimes they'll test fine with a multimeter but still won't heat properly. That's an internal break you can't see. Control boards are the pricey ones, anywhere from 140 to 235 for a complete replacement. Here's where you got to be careful though. Control boards get blamed for a lot of problems that are actually caused by other components. I see people replace a perfectly good board when the real problem is a blown thermal fuse. Before you drop that kind of money, make sure you've tested everything else first. Temperature sensors are pretty affordable, usually 15 to 40 bucks. The sensor measures heat inside the oven cavity, and when it fails, your readings will be way off spec. Like I mentioned, most should read around 1050 ohms at room temperature, but always check your model's specs because some newer ones are different. All right, if you're dealing with faulty parts, let's talk about what you're looking at cost-wise and whether these repairs make sense to tackle yourself. Parts can range anywhere from 10 bucks for a thermal fuse up to over 200 for a complete control board, but even the expensive fixes are way cheaper than calling someone like me out for a service call. Now you can see right there on your screen the most common Frigidaire models that run into these heating issues. Take a look. You might even spot your own model up there. Don't worry about memorizing all those numbers, but it's good to know if your particular unit is one of the common problem children. That's how you tackle a Frigidaire oven that's not heating up. Remember, start with the simple stuff. Here's your quick checklist. First, check your circuit breaker and reset if needed. Second, visually inspect elements for cracks or damage. Third, if you have a gas model, watch that igniter timing. And fourth, test your temperature sensor with a multimeter. Work through these steps in order, and you'll find your problem. Most of these fixes you can handle yourself and save a couple $100 on a service call. If this helped you get your oven working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.